Welcome back to World Ascension Conference Live, and we have back with us Rob Gauthier, who is now about to do a live channeling with Aridif. Hello.
There we go. All right, now I can talk. I had my microphone muted there for 1 second, so I just wanted to let everybody know, a lot of people come into these types of things asking questions that are personal, and that's fine if that's the nature of your question. But I think for a setting like this, the more that we're aligned with questions that help the collective, the better that is. So an information about the collective, even if a question is personal, I'll let Ardif and Trev know that they can answer that and take care of that, but also give an expansion on that question to something that can help everybody, because that's what we're all about, and we're all trying to do is just get as many people as we can. So
absolutely.
I do also want to let everybody know my connection process. I close my eyes. You'll hear very deep breathing and then very loud oming. Sometimes you have to turn your headphones down so it doesn't shake you out of your headphones. When you hear that, that's my connection process to Ardif. And once he comes in, it takes him a few seconds to start talking, but when he comes in, he'll let you know that he's there. He'll say hi to you guys. And then I don't know if he has anything to share before he takes questions or what, but that I'll let you work that out with him. But when someone does ask a question that's personal, the way it works is that you're engaging in part of your own energy, and he is using my body as a vessel to kind of grab onto energy. So any of my psychic ability, intuition, anything like that, he'll utilize that to feel out your energy. He'll connect with your energy. And then when he does, the place where you're coming from the question is going to be reflected back to him. And I tell people this because when you're aligned with yourself and when you're feeling good and excited, the questions come back in a very clear and concise way. But when you have a fear about something, or if you're really unaligned or misaligned with your energy, then sometimes the questions might come back in a more general way. So just remember, as I'm breathing and focusing and getting that energy set, you guys are welcome to join by breathing, by oming at home, doing whatever you want to kind of center yourself too. And that way you'll get the best results for your questions that you do ask. So
fantastic. Absolutely right. I'm ready for this.
Me too. I'm going to take another drink of water and we'll go ahead and jump in. All right. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Okay. Let's see. No.
Greetings to you all, this is Ardif, that is R-I-D-I-F, this is its spell. We understand that many of you have queries for this day, but before diving in to your queries, we must express the concept in our own perception that above all is of the utmost importance, and that is that you are loved. And when we express the concept that you are loved, it is not the same as the expressions that are used daily upon your own planet, I love you. I love you is a representation of two entities that are separate, expressing joy, happiness, and kindness towards one another. When the concept you are loved is all-encompassing, the energy that you see as the universe is created from energy that is love, that is accepting, that is all-encompassing and all-inclusive. In that concept, every entity involved within the galactic consciousness and in the universal consciousness alike on all dimensions and densities are embraced. If your desire to feel love is there, open yourself to accept it and you will be loved. You may begin your queries at your leisure.
Good evening, Aradiv.
Yes, greetings to you also.
I have been waiting to talk to you, and somebody has put a question forward to ask you about our consciousness and how we can move forward as a collective. How can we push that consciousness to leap more forward now? What can we do as a race?
Yes, first of all, as Rob and yourself have expressed previously in this day, just by accepting yourself, understanding your own consciousness is the very first step. But to push forward beyond just understanding yourself, open your own constructs of consciousness. There are 7 points of energy within your physical and non-physical body that are energetic by nature, each one encompassing a different part of your overall being. These points of energy are called chakras. If you allow your energy of the chakras to open, this will give you a greater understanding of the nature of yourself. For instance, you look at your very first chakra. This is called the root chakra. This is your connection to the earth itself. It is a vital chakra. It allows you to connect to the energy of the collective consciousness of the earth. Some of you call this Mother Earth or Gaia, but it is an energy of all beings who have ever existed upon your planet or ever will, removing linear time in existence, connecting, being a part of oneness. All of that energy along with every living and non-living being upon your planet, looking at all of the stones, the fire, the electricity, all of the animals, even bacteria and algae. All of those things combined create the Earth Collective. So being connected to the Earth is more than just grounding yourself or being connected to nature. It truly means that you have the capacity to connect to all things that ever exist in the plane and planetary region where you reside. That is essential for the opening up of your chakra, to connect to your root chakra. This allows you to feel at in place and at ease wherever you are. It allows you to connect to the earth portion of plain existence. By allowing that chakra open, it gives you the ability to look into all of your emotions regarding the feelings of your own safety, the feelings of your own sense of self. Now, looking in that construct, you also have a chakra atop the physical head portion. This is called your crown chakra. Allowing that to be open means that you can now connect to the etheric grid that surrounds each and every planet upon the galactic consciousness and further to the universal. When you look at your own Earth, there is a grid system that connects each one of you individually and collectively. This means once you have opened yourself to this, you are open to not only the Earth knowledge, but universal knowledge also. Encompassing each and every one of your chakras, understanding the nature of the emotions that flow through them. That is an expansive way in order for you to gain more access to each portion of your consciousness individually. Now, as you look in the collective sense, you desire to express your consciousness in the most expanded way. That means not being resistant to yourself. When you feel a great need to do something, when you feel a great sense of desire to connect with one specific purpose, most humans do not express this concept because there are fears, there are disconnections to that energy, because they are fearing something else can get in the way. Let us use an example. For instance, for all of you who desire to make a world a better place by going out and sharing the information that you have with others, the reason that most of you won't is you believe, if I leave the place where I am living and I do not make enough money, I will be homeless. I will not have a place to be. But in the truest nature of how reality works in your own self-creation, trusting in yourself will allow you not to think of one specific outcome, not to interpret one concept or idea in one specific way, placing expectations all throughout your way. Allowing yourself to act upon your excitement, stepping out the door, teaching all entities who desire to hear from you. Trusting in yourself and the universe will allow you the synchronicities to occur in a linear fashion in where you are able to take care of yourself and every need in the way you desire. Examples that we have given for this is those who leave their house and desire to teach, go into a different country and start working with people. One of the people who are there will have a place for you to sleep. Another person will have food for you to eat. Another person, transportation for the next area that you desire to go. If you allow yourself to trust yourself and to trust that the universe will support you in your creations, you will be able to manifest what it is you desire. It is the expectations of how, when, and why that often cause the most resistance. So letting go of your resistance of creating is essential. When you are able to do this, then you are able to co-create with others who are also doing the same thing, who are also brave enough to take their venture and move forward with it through action. When all of you co-create together in that space, you are helping the co-created collective consciousness to manifest an opening for your teachings, for the purpose of your energy. So each and every one of you, following your own excitements and then acting upon them without hesitation, living in that moment, that is the greatest way to co-create a more expansive collective consciousness. If each and every one of you upon this planet were to do this, then all of you would feel and be in a fitting place and fitting time where there would be no reason to feel negative experiences or emotions. So working with the construct of your own desires is the map that your higher self and oversoul is giving you.
Wow. So, am I right that our oversoul has more to do with our expansion in consciousness on our ascension process?
You yourself, as what we would call the lower fractal consciousness, is what is mainly responsible for the expansion of your consciousness. Your oversoul is a portion of consciousness that is much greater than the lower fractal consciousness that you exist with in this moment. Let us use perhaps this simple map to show you the way consciousness works. You yourself are the lowest fractal consciousness available in the consciousness construct. Above yourself is what we would call the higher self or higher fractal consciousness. This is the portion of you that is connected to the universe. It is the part of you that knows all things, that connects to all love, that knows the essence of creator consciousness. So when you are working with your lower fractal consciousness, the way to gain access to your higher fractal consciousness is to integrate more of it into your own existence. Doing this is the way that you understand the universe in a much larger way. By allowing yourself to open your mind, your heart, your chakra systems, that gives all of you the opportunity to integrate more of the higher fractal consciousness within. Now, above the higher fractal consciousness is the oversoul. That is a separate unit of consciousness. Although you are part of it, it is not a part of you in the essence or way that most humans would believe. What we mean by this is the oversoul is the culmination and combination of every past life and future life and parallel life in which you exist. So the oversoul contains all things that you could experience or have experienced previously. Your higher self is the bridge to the oversoul. So becoming acquainted with your higher self gives you the opportunity to work with the oversoul. The oversoul then connects to one another to create soul groups or soul families. By those oversouls connecting, they create smaller collective consciousnesses. Each oversoul has an overall theme within its existence. Each soul group has a larger theme. Each soul family an even larger theme. And after all 144,000 of the human or earth collective oversouls connect with one another, then they create the earth collective consciousness. Now understand that each oversoul also has a counterpart. This part is a larger mechanism that allows you to play throughout all of the probable realities in which can occur within the earth collective consciousness. That is called the twin soul. Now we will not dive too deeply into the mechanics of this, but the twin soul, there is one for each oversoul. Each oversoul having the twin soul allows your own consciousness to vibrate and change the reality in which you are going through in each moment. There are some of you who believe that your timelines are finite, that there is only one way through your Akashic incarnation, but we would express to you that you are infinite probabilities, that by connecting to your own higher self, allowing the oversoul to taste the vibration of where you start and where you end is all throughout the decisions of the lower fractal consciousness. Let us use an example. For instance, if you are walking down the street and there are 3 roads, one in front, one to the left, and one to the right, and you walk straight, the one that goes to the right and the left are 2 probabilities that were never played out. It was your decision to go forward, not the higher self, not the oversoul. The lower fractal consciousness is the one that decides to walk forward. The twin soul provides an opportunity for you to go down the right and the left road, and then when other roads occur, to go down those as well. So it is an infinite probability machine that creates the reality of all probabilities. You and your lower fractal consciousness are the ones that decide what reality to choose. Then, in your vibration in that moment, you change that energy with your own twin soul to give you your now experience. And this occurs several trillion times in each moment, several trillion times in each of your measured minutes. So allowing yourself to go throughout your entire life, you will have changed with your twin soul in probable realities and now moments in larger numbers than humans can measure.
Wow. So you did touch a little bit on twin souls there, but a lot of star seeds and indigo vibration that you may be familiar with, that you touched on soul families. There's the huge presence of the indigo children that are connecting with each other on such a high vibrational frequency at the moment. They're joining together, and but a lot of them still feel lonely, and they've got this sense of loneliness as they miss their star families. What is your perception and advice on that?
Yes, first of all, in our own perception, as we would call an indigo child, this represents a great deal of many things for most humans. But in our own vocabulary, this is one representation of an incarnation cycle style that you can play out throughout the Earth Collective. But we understand that when you are speaking of the star seeds missing or feeling void within their own contact with galactic family, most of the time this occurs because you are coming from a vibration, a level of consciousness that is much different from the one that you are experiencing now. Most of you in this moment are residing within the third to fourth density exchange, and although you are fourth density beings, you are still living a great deal of your third density experiences. So in that essence, you are third density beings, for lack of better terminologies. Now, when you become a human from a different incarnation cycle, the majority of you come from the area of consciousness deemed the fifth or sixth density. That is a much higher level of consciousness, a much further portion of evolution. So what this is akin to is any of you who have experienced going through, gaining access to 12 years of college, gaining access to the doctorate level graduations of that, going back into the kindergarten or first grade classes and playing with the other children. Although this is a different experience for you, the amount of knowledge and understanding you have for the universe is much higher. So innately, you know this. Your higher self knows this. Although your lower fractal consciousness is for the most part, many of you, wiped out to a very high degree, only gaining access, intuition, and information, that is, small pieces of where you come from. The larger part of yourself knows where you come from. This is why you feel that great disconnect. It is not only because you miss your family, but you have come from a portion of reality in where you are aware of all entities around you's thoughts. You are also connected to each being so deeply and intimately that most of you who connect with your greatest lover or soulmate in this life could not possibly understand the connection that you would have for the furthest distant relative for you in the other reality. For instance, all of those entities who live in experiences in a higher density where they live with several billion entities upon the planet, all of those billions of entities are closer to you than what you can experience closeness now in this reality. So you come from that portion of consciousness. You come from a reality where all things are so interconnected to you that they seem to be a part of you, the true nature of a collective consciousness in full awareness. Then you come to a reality where you have to fight to feel your connections. You have to go through your incarnation, going up and down hills, sadness, anger, separation, distance. So this experience is very jarring for you. That is that sense of void that is created. To allow yourself to disincorporate a bit of that void is starting to accept that in this life you are human. Many entities connect with that concept of starseed so deeply they have completely disassociated themselves as being human. What we can tell you in this lifetime, you are 100% human. Enjoy that fact, accept that fact, open up to that fact, and start allowing human experiences. Once you truly allow yourself to incorporate the human variety of vibration to go fully through you in an open and loving way, the less empty you will feel. Now we understand there are some things or some feelings that can never be fixed for that experience, but when you sit with yourself and open yourself, open the chakras, understand what the human experience has to offer, and be a part of it, it can take a great deal, or the majority of that vibration away.
There is a question.
So, our DNA has said to upgrade it to match this consciousness. Could you talk a little bit about our DNA and the origins of our DNA and what races we have residing with human DNA?
Yes, first of all, the human DNA archetype, the DNA that each and every one of you carry, comes from a variety of energies. When you look at your DNA, there are 7 races that are connected within your DNA. Through those 7 races, you have 12 different versions of DNA within you. Out of that 12 races, 7 of the 12 that we have expressed previously were hybrids. That means 2 different styles of DNA exist within their own DNA, both giving you both of their parental DNAs. For instance, you hear of the Anunnaki. These entities gave their own DNA to humanity that offer the DNA of reptilian consciousness from the ancient reptilians, but also from a feminine Pleiadian race. That means that when the Anunnaki gives their DNA, they are giving you 2 different DNAs. That means that out of the 7 races, 10 of them were hybrids, or 5 having 2 different energies. The other 2 were their own races, and out of those energies, the names that most of you would understand or recognize instantly are reptilian DNA, Pleiadian DNA, Arcturian DNA, Syrian DNA. Also, you are looking at many different races in which you are not aware of. When you understand names such as the Elohim, those entities that were in your biblical text also assisted energetically, teaching humanity, giving their own energy. So out of all of that DNA that was encoded in you, there are different energies that are associated with each one of them. When you express the concept of upgrading your DNA or implementing the portions of junk DNA that your scientists see, what this truly means is that as you raise your vibration, as you enter the 4th density and know that you are in the 4th density, feel and experience that you are in the 4th density, every part of those 12 different races of DNA that you have, small percentages of them will start being encoded more clearly. The junk DNA that your scientists say that you have is actually DNA that has not been awakened yet. It has not been utilized fully. Let us start with an example. For instance, there is DNA that is Syrian by nature. That Syrian DNA within all of you gives you the ability to find more answers within yourself, to guide directly through your own consciousness and start working directly with your telepathy, and even on the higher ends of this, being able to transport your physical self across space and time. But you are just starting to open that DNA, just starting to implement the portions of DNA. And with each race, there comes a new energy to explore. The Pleiadian consciousness gives you constructs of not only the scientific styles of understanding, but also the internal technology understanding. The Pleiadian races are well known for their own ability to know themselves spiritually, to allow themselves to integrate with other Pleiadians to such a degree it would be difficult to separate large groups of them. If you were to speak to them, asking them the same questions, each one of them would give such a great similar response, and it is because their own collective consciousnesses are binded this tightly. So if you raise your vibration as a human collective, you can start implementing the portions of the Pleiadian DNA. Now, understand also that part of the encoding within that DNA is quite optional to each and every one of you. And what this means, those of you who do not care to be a part of a collective consciousness that is connected so deeply, such as the Pleiadian, you have the opportunity to engage against some of that energy also. When that part of your DNA starts to activate, your own vibration will dictate if it accepts and makes that part of the structure of your own DNA. If you do not allow, then it will be laid down for another purpose, another time. When you are having children, you are genetically giving them the DNA that you have already started to activate. That is why you see a great deal of your crystal children, rainbow children, coming into this reality with such an awareness. Much of their parents, whether knowingly or not, have created a spiritual awareness within them that is so potent and strong that it has allowed their own DNA to start waking in the very first portions of your ascensional process, even before the marker that you call 2012. So opening up those portions of their DNA allowed them to access that part. They gave this energy to the children. Also, the entities who are incarnating in the body of these rainbow and crystal children are souls who are beyond what we would perceive as the entities called perhaps indigo children or ascended children, as many of you call them. In those cases, many of these entities who are incarnating as indigo children are entities who have experienced all styles of reality from their incarnational cycle. They have experienced all experiences that humanity and Earth has to offer. Therefore, the next logical step is only to incarnate into an already ascended energy. That is what these children are doing, activating their own portions of DNA that have yet to been activated, but also being handed pre-activated DNA from their parents' lineage.
So, listening to that, I would say that the indigo, rainbow and crystal children have a great part in our future and future timelines.
Yes, at the portion of consciousness after this incarnation part of most of your cycles ends, and there is an entire new generation. After everyone who is living in this moment has died, and all entities are growing in place of them in that part of the cycle, then you can experience that every entity will be a part of a vibration of indigo children or higher. That is the representation of energy that is now being placed within the Earth Collective. Even those who have fought against the idea of connection with others, even those who fight against the idea of ascension, their children will bear into a new reality, because the souls that are coming in at this part of reality have already went through their ascensional process, have already experienced all of the third density lifestyles and the theme that could be played out. It is now time for humanity to embark in their fourth density journey. The third density, that is the experience that most of you know as human. The fourth density is the entrance into the expansion of not only activation of DNA, not only the activation of opening and mastering the heart chakra itself, but opening up a gateway of energy within you that allows all of you to manifest quicker, to understand better, to be at one with one another with more ease. The time for the resistance era is over. This is the natural cycle of evolution, the galactic collective consciousness, and all of you are now in the fourth density. You will never see birthing of third density beings. You will only see manifestations of the collective consciousness that are remnants of the old belief systems.
Wow. So we have touched a little bit on consciousness. We've touched a little bit on indigos and starseeds. I would like to know if I could ask you yourself some personal questions.